Well, the championship rolls on to Valencia with the two main title competitors both riding an excellent race in Malaysia. The rain stayed away, but Bastianini kept it interesting for us as he tailed Bagnaia, pushing to the line and undoubtedly leaving the Ducati bosses on the verge of a heart attack. So let's take a look at the 5 things we learned from the Malaysian Grand Prix. Maverick flying low. A concerning pattern has started to return to Maverick Vinales' form of late, as he seems to be returning to the old days where in some rounds he is fast and can manage excellent results, whilst in others he is nowhere. This is certainly evident from the last 2 rounds where Maverick has achieved no points whilst his teammate has. Vinales is qualifying in the last 2 rounds, both of which were places where he has historically been quick, have been solid, but he has ended up finishing out of the points in both of them, which looks eerily similar to his days on the Yamaha. Maverick needs to get his consistency right, otherwise this move to Aprilia isn't going to look like it solved any of his issues. Franco goes mental. Franco Morbidelli had a rough weekend, picking up 2 long lap penalties for impeding other riders. Now I have a theory on this. I think Franco has finally snapped thanks to his struggles, taking out his frustration by blocking his more successful teammate. Of course, he must have quickly realised that such antics do not improve his odds of somehow holding on to his ride for 2024, and as such redirected his blocking talents to his teammate's title rival, Bagnaia. Of course, Bagnaia is part of the VR46 Academy with Franco, and so he must have then realised that this wasn't a good idea either. So confused and angry heading into the race, Morbidelli finally found a good target for his anger in the form of Aleix Espargaro on the Aprilia. I kid, of course, but it was interesting to learn that Franco Morbidelli is apparently the most penalised rider this year. Furthermore, with how this weekend went for him, he must be close to the record for most penalties given on a MotoGP race weekend. Either way, I do hope that the stewards continue their consistency of their penalties for incidents like this, and we see Franco getting his deserved penalty for the clash with Aleix. Destroyer of lap records. Jorge Martine is the destroyer, or I guess terminator, of lap records once again this weekend. I didn't mention this last week, but he took the lap record away from Jorge Lorenzo, which was unbeaten since 2013, and this weekend in Malaysia, Jorge obliterated the field once again in qualifying, breaking the lap record twice, first with a 1 minute 58.021 and then with the first ever 1 minute 57, a 1 minute 57.790. The race of course didn't go so well for Jorge as he crashed out trying to pull the gap out on Bagnaia and Bastianini. Nonetheless, he shows his speed in every qualifying session with all the lap records that he has achieved. 4 functioning fingers. Despite having broken his middle finger in practice, Fabio Quartaro showed the champion's mentality, starting from 12th and blasting through to 3rd in an incredible ride. Never count Fabio out. He will be back, and despite only 4 functioning fingers on his left hand, he keeps fighting even with the cards stacked against him. Ultimate respect to the 2021 world champion. 1 hand and 4 fingers. Continuing on with the theme of fingers, Bagnaia now has 1 hand and 4 fingers on the MotoGP crown as he takes his 7th victory of the season and now has a 23-point gap back to Fabio. It was a god-tier start from Bagnaia as he launched from 9th all the way up to 2nd by the end of the front straight. After Martine's crash, aside from Bastianini making some moves, Bagnaia took command of the race as he has done on so many occasions and didn't seem to really look back despite the pressure from his future teammate. Fabio Quartararo's chances of retaining the title in Valencia are hanging by the thread of himself winning and Bagnaia crashing or finishing 15th or lower. All of Pecco's other title rivals are now eliminated, with Aleix finishing well down the order and Bastianini not being able to stay in contention despite coming in 2nd. It certainly seems that Pecco will win the 2022 MotoGP Championship after the greatest ever recovery in not just MotoGP, but motorsport's history. Rider of the Weekend. Jack Miller is my rider of the weekend. Jack was still injured after the clattering he received in Phillip Island and then suffered an off-throttle high side in Q1, which probably wasn't nice. That resulted in a 14th place start, which also wasn't too good for the Aussie. After all of that, a bad start compounded the issues of the weekend as he fell outside of the top 20 on lap 1. It wasn't over for the Aussie though, as Jack pushed all the way back through to 6th in an excellent ride, and so here's my rider of the weekend. struggle of the weekend. On a weekend where his title competitors did such an excellent job, Aleix Espargaro's weekend couldn't have gone much worse. Aleix has done an excellent job to stay in the title fight this season, but after this difficult round in Malaysia, he is finally out, dropping back to 4th in the title standings as Bastianini takes 3rd from the Spaniard. It was no doubt a difficult weekend for Aleix. Alright, that's a review of the Malaysian Grand Prix. Just one more to go, and the championship will be decided there. Let's hope for a banging last race of the season in Valencia. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. Thank you very much for watching. Goodbye.